Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the SEC availability report from Wednesday night for this Alabama versus South Carolina matchup this weekend. But before we get into all that, guys, I want to ask you to share today's video. We're trying to break our, goal for the most shares on a video. So far this season, the most shares we have on one particular video is 27, so we're going to set that goal just a little bit higher than that at 30. So make sure you spread the word, share today's video for me right now. We're going to bring up the Crimson Tide injury report first because we kind of touched on it yesterday, during our show yesterday. Yhonzae Pierre is going to be out in this game, linebacker for Alabama, with an undisclosed injury. I kind of think, he posted a picture. He was in the hospital a couple days ago, so we'll see how long Yhonzae Pierre is going to be out for the Crimson Tide. You also got Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice, both listed as questionable. Kendrick Law, of course, he injured his leg a couple weeks ago in that Georgia game, went out, missed that Vanderbilt game. Kobe Prentice took a pretty solid shot to the head last week against Vanderbilt. It was really scary, honestly, watching him stand up from that. It was definitely really dizzy. So, he's listed as questionable right now. Definitely don't want to push him, too far too soon. But, man, it would be really nice to get Kendrick Law back on the field for Alabama for this game because, look, Alabama really hasn't been able to utilize him a lot this season, but he has been a workhorse, especially in the blocking game. You've seen multiple times where he just goes out there and ragdolls defensive backs. So if they're not going to be utilizing him, getting him the ball, which I kind of think is a mistake. But look, Alabama's got a lot of playmakers on offense. They can't get everybody the ball. So that's just, is what it is. So would love to see Kendrick Law to be back out there on Saturday against South Carolina. And then Kobe Prentice, man, I think he had a very solid start to the season. And even that play where he got hit and went down on, that was a first down catch for Alabama. Really big pickup when they needed it. So, like I said, I don't want to push Kobe Prentice back too fast because those concussion-like symptom type things, they can be very scary. We've seen kind of the history of Tua Tagovailoa in the NFL. Don't want anything to happen to, Kobe Prentice long-term. So I would, he's probably going to be questionable for a while. We've got another one coming up this week. We've got another report coming out tonight. We'll have another one on Friday and, Saturday, 90 minutes before the game as well. So, we'll see what happens with Kobe Prentice, but, would like to have his talent out there for the Crimson Tide. Back to Kendrick Law, though. He's a very pivotal part of Alabama's offense. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Do you think Kendrick Law comes back and plays on Saturday? It is the pinned comment of today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's fine. You can ignore it. Go down there and let me know your prediction. Type Y for yes or N for no. Do you guys think Kendrick Law will play this Saturday against South Carolina? One player that I do want to mention that was not listed on the injury report is Jaeden Roberts. And honestly, I don't know why he's not listed on it because Coach Cap yesterday, came out and talked about the fact that he's been dealing with a lot of things. And, we've kind of noticed, or I've kind of noticed anyways, something definitely has been off about Jaeden Roberts. We'll kind of dive into the numbers a little bit later. But, this season he's kind of started off a little bit slower, had that hand injury, earlier in the season, had to have surgery on that. So, I'm sure a little bit's got to do with that. I'm sure he's banged up in some other places on his body as well. But, if this is the case, if, Coach Cap goes out there and says straight up that, this guy's been banged up all year. I don't know how he's playing through it. I really don't know how Alabama can really get away with not listing him on the availability report. This is exactly what Coach Cap said yesterday about Jaeden Roberts and what he's been dealing with. He said, J-Rob is one of my favorite people in the world, and he's going through a lot. He's in pain on a daily basis, and I don't have to be a doctor to see that watching him move around. He's playing through some things and that I don't know most people would. We know we've got to give him a series here and there, to kind of let him get his body feeling a little bit better, to take a breath and go, he's good with it. We kind of, work together. How are you feeling? What do you need to do? Gino Vandermark, has filled in for him and done a good job that has been helpful as well. Look, I don't care if he's listed on it or not. I just don't understand. If we're going to have these injury reports, if we're going to have these weekly availability reports for these SEC games, after what you just heard from Coach Cap, how would Jaeden Roberts not be listed on it? You know, the NFL, I think they do it right. If you're going to have it, yeah, I think you got to do it right. They literally list everything. They list the player. They list his availability in practice that day, whether he's limited, full, didn't practice at all. And they also list the actual injury, what it is, if it's a rest day. Because guys in the NFL just get days off. You don't really get that in college, but, it is what it is. They've got the injury, whether it's an ankle, a hand, whatever. They've got it on the NFL injury reports that come out, 3-4 times a week. So I don't understand how you can have a coach go out there and say that you actually have a player that is hurt, whether he's, dealing with it or not. I think you at least need to go out there and list him as, probable, questionable, something like that for this game because, like I said, if we're going to have these availability reports, why not be honest with it? Because at the end of the day, if you're not honest with it and the SEC finds out, you could get in trouble, and I don't want that to happen to Alabama. I don't want them to get in trouble for something as stupid and minute as this, but, it's kind of a big deal because, they can go out there, they can issue fines and stuff. And like I said, Jaeden Roberts, you can see a noticeable difference here in the PFF stats. Now, 2023 is, the entire season. Obviously, he kind of got a little bit later start to that 2023 season because he wasn't the starter to begin with. But still, man, 6 hurries for the entire season of 2023, already given up 6 hurries so far, this season. And, he definitely hasn't looked like that incredible Hulk-esque guy that we saw last year. So really hope Jaeden Roberts can get healthy because he is a big part of Alabama's offensive line and really being consistent because, look, like we've said, for a few videos, here this week, Alabama really needs to get the run game going, and that really comes down to the offensive line really bulking up and, pushing those opposing defenses around, which last couple of years, Alabama's been talking the talk like they're going to, but we really have not seen that to a consistent basis. So let me know again in the comment section, guys. This is your opportunity to get interactive here with our show today. Should Alabama list Jaeden Roberts on the injury report? Type L if you think yes, they should list him, or type D if you do not. There's a lot of people out there that don't like the injury reports in general, and I understand that too. It's more of a, betting side of things so they can get accurate lines and things like that. And you also have, like the Nick Saban mentality where I don't want to go out and I don't want to tell people, what our injuries are to help them, scheme for the game. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section right now. And before we get to the South Carolina injury report, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Game Time. Game Time has a new feature now called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks is just curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concert, me and producer Stone possibly going to a comedy show here in just a couple of days. They also have tickets to go see theater shows as well. Game Time has killer last-minute deals. They have all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest prices guaranteed. The Game Time ticket coverage is really big. You purchase your ticket, and it is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out GameTime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. So what time is it? It's game time. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. All right, so moving on to South Carolina now. 3 guys listed as out already for South Carolina, and none bigger really than Jared Brown, the wide receiver for the Gamecocks. The other guy's Kelvin Hunter. He's a defensive back. He's only played 16 snaps so far this season. Ja'Kai Moore hasn't played any snaps at all. So, those are guys getting banged up in practice, aren't really going to play in the game. But Jared Brown, one of the better receivers for South Carolina so far this season, and he played at Coastal Carolina for the first couple years of his career, and put up some pretty decent numbers. So I mean, this is definitely a guy that South Carolina is definitely going to want to utilize. Some of those matchups that they can get against Alabama, especially on third downs, and not having Jared Brown out there could definitely affect how South Carolina plays in this game. Jalewis Solomon, defensive back for South Carolina, he is listed as doubtful right now. Not a big deal for them as well. Only played 19 snaps so far this season. But a guy they definitely want out there is DeAndre Jules. Right now, he is listed as doubtful per the Wednesday night availability report, so we'll see kind of how that shifts around. He's played over 100 snaps for South Carolina so far this season, and last year, he's a transfer from Pitt, and, he played very well for Pitt last year. 24 tackles, really did a lot in the TFLs and sack category. So, it's kind of going back to one of those things, Alabama's offensive line versus South Carolina's defensive line. They definitely want to, be that team that is able to, big boy Alabama up front like Vanderbilt was last year. So they definitely want this guy out there on Saturday. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We go live every single Saturday for our Alabama football watch parties. This weekend's game is an 11 o'clock a.m. kickoff Central Time, so we're going to go live an hour before that. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Join us. We're going to have a lot of fun. That's youtube.com/@RollTideTV. The next player on South Carolina's injury report is O'Donnell Fortune. He's one of their best cornerbacks. He's listed as probable right now, and definitely somebody that South Carolina wants out there on the field. Like I said, I mean, really, he's probably one of their better players on the defensive side of the ball so far this year. Pretty solid in coverage, And if you look, year over year, he's definitely a guy that has gotten better every single season. So, especially if Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law are able to get out there for Alabama on Saturday, South Carolina equally wants this guy out there to be able to defend those guys out there at that cornerback position. Dalvin Campbell, wide receiver for South Carolina, he is listed as probable. And another guy who has played a pretty solid amount for South Carolina. One of their, he's not in the top four for receiving for them. But, so far this season, it really hasn't gotten a lot going. But, it's 16 and a half, yards per catch is, something pretty solid. So, another wide receiver. They've got a few listed on this injury report. 2 guys, and we'll talk about another one here in just a second. But, that is definitely a position that they do not want to lack against Alabama because at the end of the day, Alabama's secondary is something that I would assume South Carolina is going to try to, attack. So let me know in the comments section, guys. We kind of talked about it, a little bit earlier. Some people like the availability report. Some people don't. I want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Type 1 if you like the SEC injury reports that they've been doing so far this year. Only for SEC games, not for every game of this season. Or type 0 if you do not like it. You think there's no use for it and you don't like going out there and telling other teams what, players are going to go out for you on Saturday to possibly give them some kind of advantage scheme-wise. So let me know what you guys think of the comment section right now. The last player that we're going to talk about today, Vondrevious Jacobs, listed as probable for South Carolina, and he's a guy that our very own Tom Downey really likes a lot. Only 4 receptions this year, but 107 yards for him so far. So definitely one of those guys that is very electric when he has the ball in his hands. I like Mazeo Bennett. I like Gage. Larvadan, Jared Brown is going to be out in this game. So, only a handful of wide receivers that South Carolina is going to be able to utilize in this game. I would assume those 2 guys right there on the left side, Bennett and Larvadan, are really going to be the top 2 that they go after on Saturday.